Hello YouTube and welcome to my review of The Evil Within. I played this on the PS4 for the last couple of days and I completed it, so here's my review. So, after witnessing the slaughter of fellow officers, Sebastian is ambushed and knocked unconscious. When he awakens, he finds himself in a deranged world where hideous creatures wander among the dead. Facing unimaginable terror and fighting for survival, Sebastian embarks on a frightening journey to unravel what's behind this evil force. That's what the back of the box says about the game, and that's pretty much it, to be honest. So, this game casts you into the survival theme right away. The game doesn't bother too much about the detail of the story, it much rather get you started on the survival aspect straight away. And that is not a bad thing. I've personally grown sick of a horror game that relies too much on building tension. The Evil Within just tosses you into a world and says, "Survive!" And the survival bit will be hard. The ammo is scarce, resources are few, and the enemies are many. You will encounter many areas that will have you banging your head against the wall multiple times, but it's not for too long, so don't give up. Because that is the thing that needs to be mentioned when talking about this game. The game is hard. You will die many times, but if you can get through it, the reward and the satisfaction will be worth it. Because with that being said, The Evil Within is a good game. The Evil Within borrows many elements from Resident Evil 4 and The Last of Us. Almost every gameplay mechanic is from Resident Evil 4, everything from the camera to the shooting. Other elements, such as sneaking, reminds me of The Last of Us, where you have an option to throw a bottle to distract enemies and so on and so forth. Other gameplay mechanics include upgrading. This means you will have the option to trade in a set amount of green gel or goo. Goo are collected from dead enemies, treasures, or other places within the world. You can trade in this for upgrade to your character, let's say more stamina or health, or upgrading things for one of your firearms. All these mechanics weave into a fine game-playing experience for The Evil Within, which actually has you entertained for more than 10 hours. Graphics aren't too much to brag about. It doesn't even look as good as The Last of Us for the PS3. But graphics aren't everything, but it doesn't help that they've chosen to have a letterbox view as well. So I at least expected it to look as good as The Last of Us and with full screen, since the PS3 could do it, but it doesn't, so that's a minus. Other minuses to the game is it's very rough-edged. There are some problems with the mechanics in the game. One time I've had my character actually stood sideways on the staircase because I didn't enter the staircase the way they wanted me to enter it. So I ended up dying and I had to do like 10 to 15 minutes all over again, and that's kind of annoying. And I had this bug happen too. So as you can see, there are some clipping issues here and there, but nothing major. The game is still really fun to play. So other things to note is the story. I talked briefly about it, that the game doesn't get too much into the detail of the story, it just tosses you in, but it tries to fill in those gaps as you go on with the game. But the story isn't really too good, and it doesn't help that the characters, which are there to explain the story and what's going on and react to what's going on and blah blah blah, they're kind of dull as well. Especially the main character, the character you play. He is a really boring protagonist, but it doesn't really hurt the overall experience because it's survivor horror. It's finally back in its true form, and the gameplay is actually a lot of fun. I enjoyed Resident Evil and Resident Evil 4, that is, and this is Resident Evil 4 with tweaks and new things added to the game. So For me, I had a really good time, so let's get to the final verdict. So the pros are fun gameplay, challenging, survival horror, nice upgrading system, and the game is long but not too long. Remember, I mentioned that it's over 10 hours long, and that is actually pretty long to be a game of more modern standards, so that's not too bad. And as I said, the survival horror is back in its true form, and I'm really pleased with that. So the cons are dull main character, kinda boring story, and rough edged. I showed you an example of the rough edging in the game, so hopefully you will understand that. And now let's get to the final verdict. So this game deserves an 8.5 out of 10. Despite its issues, this is still a really good game, so hopefully you will check it out. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, or comment. I really appreciate it, and until next time, YouTube, stay awesome.
This channel is sponsored by Hapauge, a capture device manufacturer. Want more info? Check out the description in this video.